Okay, welcome back. Now, if I've done this correctly, I should be able to find this very same error message that we previously saw on the screen now appearing in this file. So I'm going to say less, only if I click on the guy, less kumquat err. And sure enough, that is the error message that previously went to the screen. Now it went to a file. Okay. Now I told you that the numbers, the standard in is a 0 and 1 is the standard out and 2 is the standard error. So technically you could do something like, well, okay, I'll just type rather than waste your time. Let's say I want to redirect that to the standard out. You know how we did it this way, right? So we'll just call it, junk.out. Okay. Well, another way of doing that is no one does this. I'm just saying you could put the number 1 right before that, and that means which one of those standard I/O things is it? Well, it's going 1 is the standard out, so that does the same thing. No one types that. Okay, I'm just saying it will do the same thing. Okay, because by default the redirect, the greater than, is always 1. Okay. All right. So what happens if I want to combine the output and the error messages in the same file? Now we've done it like a line above there. We've done it where one went to kumquat out and one went to kumquat error. What if I wanted them both to go to the same way? Okay. Well, there's a way you can do that, and I'll show you the long way first, and then we'll do the short way. Okay, so here we go. So I say ls minus al user kumquat, redirect that into kumquat.out, and then I want to redirect. Basically, what I'm going to say is I want to say, this is kind of weird, so just bear with me. 2 greater than. Now I need to tell it that my 2 is not a file. Okay. Because right now, if I type anything out, it's going to create a file called something. So the way you tell that what we're getting ready to type is not a file is with the ampersand. Okay, ampersand 1. And what that means is don't create a file called 1. It would have done it. But what that means is take 2 and also put it in 1. Okay, so that works. It creates 1 file now, not 2. And it put the error message along with the standard out, which we didn't have any. Now, there's a kind of a shortcut way of doing this. So that is a technical way of doing it, but for people who kind of are whoa, got to spell that right. Well, actually, it wouldn't matter if I spell it right. One of the ways you can do is you can just say ampersand like that. And that is a kind of a shortcut. It means the same thing. It's just that you don't have to go all the way out to the end and have the 2 and the greater than and the ampersand and the 1. You can just combine it together so that basically the people who wrote this kind of say, look, this is fairly common. And so whenever I see the ampersand and then a greater than, I'm just going to assume that you know what you're talking about. I'm going to combine the standard out and the standard error together in whatever stream you're pointing it at. Okay, so that works. So let's do the opposite. So we had error and we wanted it separate, and then we had error and we wanted it to go into the file along with the thing. But what happens if I don't want to have any messages at all? I want the error messages to just go away. How in the heck do you do that? Well, there's a way. I can say redirect the standard error only, right, to a device. And this device, this sounds a little weird, but basically there's a special device that means do nothing. Okay? Hey, that sounds like a pretty cool thing to do. It's called dev null. Now what dev null means is redirect the output to this device, which does nothing. And so what that means is no error messages will ever show up. Now, is that a smart idea to never have error messages? Well, probably not. So this technically redirected the error message, but instead of telling it to go on the screen or tell it to go to a file, we told it to go to a device that does nothing, which essentially just makes them disappear. Poof. Okay, so dev null is a way to make one of the streams. I mean, I could make the standard output go to null, but that would be kind of dumb, but it could happen. So let's combine this one more time. So let's say I had this, and I wanted to have, I want this to go to kumquat.out, and then I want the error messages just to, so one is, the first greater than just says go to the file for the standard output, and for the standard error, screw it, just blow it off. Cool? All right. Whew. So that's a cool way of just making something go away. Now, all the redirecting that we've been doing so far is redirecting the output. And now it's time for us to redirect the input. And what do you think the symbol is going to be? Well, it's going to be the less than symbol, right? Okay, cool. All right, the first thing we're going to learn is this command called cat. Cat stands for concatenate. Concatenate is really designed for doing this. It's what let me first of all, let me find some stuff. What concatenate is supposed to be doing is let's do, I don't remember, I gotta find something. Yeah, test file's got some, I don't even remember what test file is. I want to combine junk.out and test file on the screen at the same time. So what I would say is cat junk.out and test file 1. Okay, and then what that's going to do is just take them and combine them together on the screen. Cool? So, whatever the heck they were, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah, one was a listing and then one was this little shell script thing. Okay, cool. All right. So, the cat command just combines things together. But one of the other things that it does is it allows you to well, hang on. So let's do something weird. Remember hey, how do you find out where the copy command is? Which CP? Okay. So I'm going to say cat bin CP. What's that going to do? It's going to go to that place and display on the screen the contents of the executable file. Hey, have you ever done this in Microsoft Windows where you want to look at the copy exe file? It's going to be weird, right? It's going to have all sorts of strange things. It's going to look like holy hell. Okay? Because it's not text. Now, it did what you told it to do. It's just that you can't interpret what that means because you're not a computer. Cool? All right. So the cat command can display the contents of any file. So I'm going to do cat, etc. password. And this is the contents of the password file. Cool beans. Got it? Okay, cool. So cat does that. Now, we've been using less an awful lot because cat will not do pagination. Okay, it just spits it out to the screen and says, hey man, it's your problem. If it's too big, too bad. Where the less command allows you to, page up and page down and see the contents of things. For example, all right, hang on. We've got that user bin out guy. If I say cat user bin dot out, wasn't it? Yeah, okay, that's a pretty big list, right? So I missed something up there. Well, I can't. But if I said less user bin dot out, then I could just use my page keys and page up and page back up and page down, right? I could see the whole thing. Cool beans. All right. So now here's one that's kind of weird. So the cat command takes the standard input. So what happens if I said cat and then redirected that to poem.txt? Well, first of all, the cat command is designed to take whatever you told it, whatever's on the command line, and display that on the screen. So let's think about this in two parts. Now, it's fairly obvious what the greater than poem means. That means take the output and put it in something called poem. But where's the input coming from? Well, the input's coming from you. So the cat command will take keyboard input and using this, we'll put it in a file. So when I do that, what I'm typing now, I'm not typing a command at the shell. I'm typing something that's going to go into this thing called poem. So Mary had a little lamb. Now this is kind of weird. To make this thing stop, you know, I'm redirecting things. I'm going to use Control D. Control D means stop. So when you have a stream and you want to stop the stream, almost always we're talking about the keyboard. So what did we do here? Okay, I redirected the standard input from the keyboard and redirected that directly into something called poem using the cat command. So the cat command is sort of like a pipe fitting, okay? It takes stuff from the in, it takes stuff from the out, right? Okay, it's a little weird, but just bear with me. Now, I could say cat poem, right? Or I could use redirect the standard input. So I'm going to say cat greater than, I'm sorry, less than, who cares? Poem.text. Now this actually should be the same thing. What that means is take the contents of a file and redirect it into cat, but cat's dumb. Cat doesn't do anything. All cat does is take stuff and throw it on the screen. So those two commands are going to be exactly the same. Okay, it's a little weird. Now, we don't usually spend that much time doing input redirection. We spend an awful lot of time doing output redirection. So if that doesn't make too much sense, just bear with me for a minute. Okay, so there are other reasons why we might want to redirect the input, but not just yet. So just kind of bear with me. Hopefully a better example will be coming along. Okay, so up to now we've talked about redirecting the output by appending, redirecting the standard error, and we've talked a little bit about redirecting the standard input into a very extraordinarily simple command called cat. But what if I want to take the output of one command and redirect it into the output of another command? Not files, okay, not files. For example, I want to do ls-al user bin, but I don't want to redirect it into a file. I want to redirect it into another application. So you don't use that. Okay, if I did this, that would create a file called less. That's not what I want. I want the output of this to go to an application called less. And so you use that with a pipe. And the pipe is like almost always right above the enter key on your keyboard. So this allows me to do ls-al, which is going to be this long listing. It's going to pipe it into less. All right, before I hit the key, let's talk about what we just did. So this is the pipe symbol is redirecting both the input and the output simultaneously. On the left-hand side, it's redirecting the standard output. On the right-hand side, it's redirecting the standard input. Ooh. So now I can see that listing one page at a time. Kinda cool. So piping is a really cool thing. And so piping is not about files. Piping is about taking the input from one command and taking it to another command. Okay, we're coming up on the 15-minute mark. So as usual, we'll pause this and pick it up again in just a few.